I applied for physio when I finished school because that was something that was presented to me. I didn't really know what I was going into, and I just loved it. I loved all different aspects of physio, but and was amazed at how varied physio is. Like, I was only ever aware of sports physio, and I suddenly realized there's like you just treat the human, and chest conditions, neuro, pediatrics, and the musculoskeletal, and then sports. But the whole concept of physio that really got me was being able to work with people that are going through a hard time and just getting them to heal themselves. I really believe that people have got the power to do what they need to do. Where I really found my passion was working with people that had injuries or illnesses that were really stopping them from taking part in life. So, my first practice that I was a partner in, was based in Cape Town. We built up to 13 practices. We had 13 practices with different partners in it. So I think what I saw early on is I love treating patients, and I feel I was a good physio. I felt I got good results, but it's not what I wanted to stay doing, because I could see how effective physio can be. I can see the things that you can do, and I felt like I needed to be able to get more access, get people having access to the right type of care. And if I just focused on just doing it for me, it would just be too limited. I don't really have a specialist mindset. I don't want to be the expert in the area. I want to work with lots of experts. So when I started that partnership with in Cape Town area, I just realized there was so much opportunity, because there were physios aren't particularly, or maybe weren't particularly good at marketing themselves and just putting forwards what they were doing and making the message quite clear. And I just felt that as I went to different hospitals, I could just see there was opportunity there, because there were practices there, but they weren't quite doing what and at that stage, the practices we were offering was very general. We were doing chest work, physio, musculoskeletal, a bit of sports, so a bit of everything, women's health. But I just felt there was like a service level that wasn't well communicated to the client. So one thing that I remember talking to, and I've done it many times since then, but just talking to the therapists and saying to them, so who is the client? And they would often say, well, it's the patient. But the patient's only one of the clients. So the client is the doctor that's referring. It's whoever's paying, which might be the patient, or maybe if it's a kid, it's actually the mother, or whoever it is. So not that we're trying to sell something that someone doesn't need. We're offering a service that they desperately need, but we've got to sell it, because they're choosing between doing that, or maybe going to the GP, or going and having their tonsils out, so there's limited funds. So I wanted to make it really simple as to what it was that we were doing, and also to help people understand what was physios. It's hard for us to have that elevator thing of what is it that we do, because we feel like we do so much. But then what ends up happening is it becomes quite confusing. If you're a doctor and you want to refer, it's like, so what is it that you actually do? And when I started talking with OTs, it's almost worse, because people say, so what do you do as an OT? And if you can just help define what it is and communicate that better, then people go, oh, I need that, you know, and then you can, and you know that person needs it. It's not like you're trying to sell something, you know. Yeah, so when I went into partnership at the Panorama practice, we had this drive to just open up more practices, and it's probably over about 3 or 4 years, I might be wrong, but we grew to 13 practices around the peninsula. So we were basically at all of the main hospitals and in some of the doctors' rooms and things. So it was a really exciting journey of starting new rooms and getting processes in place and interviewing people and putting performance management things in place and just upskilling in terms of what was needed. As a physio, you don't learn any of that stuff, and I would often find something. I was busy doing something. I think, yes, this would be amazing if, you know, a performance management, sure. And then I'll go and Google it, and it's like, flip, there's a whole career on that, and I didn't even know, you know. Or even like bookkeeping, you know. It's like, yeah, so how does this all work? When did bookkeeping? Yes, there's systems that do all of these things, you know, but you need to understand how it works. So that's been great. I mean, you know, working with people later that have been in sort of corporate, there's so many things that they know that we don't know as medical professionals. We're just not exposed to it. So that was an amazing learning curve, and taking on partners and talking with doctors and organizations. So that was a very exciting time. The things learned from that were that partnership can get tricky if there are too many people involved, and you've got to really have good systems in place and get everyone's buy-in into what systems, the importance of systems, because we all know that physio is a bit of an art. It's how you do things, but the bottom line is it's got to have a strong foundation underneath it, and you've got to get everyone on board doing that. One of the things I learned is that we needed an IT system. We needed a platform. So we were trying to hold this all together via Excel spreadsheets and emails, and I'm talking back in the day where you were doing dial-up, you know, dial-up internet. So it wasn't like we had the same sort of access. And we really wanted to be able to see whether the quality of the different practices was the same, whether the communication was the same. You took on a new physio. They looked great when you interviewed, they seemed all right when you walked into the practice, but then you got a complaint from the doctor, and, you know, was it just a, you know, what was it? And you had to really go a lot on trust, which obviously you can trust the physios, but there'll be things, you know, maybe some people are good at doing the admin part and some people aren't, and then there's the medical legal issues that come up that they aren't. So it was really important to have some sort of structures and systems in place, but without having an IT platform to do it, it was hard. It was quite messy.